Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. Approximately 3 million American men have some form of prostate disease. 3 million. No healthcare system is better prepared to help you diagnose and treat prostate issues better than Tennova. They helped me beat prostate cancer. More importantly, they helped my dad beat prostate cancer. There's a reason I trust them, folks. I know them. They've done wonders for me and my father. Turn to Tennova, gentlemen. You know, if any issues at all, they are the folks that can help you diagnose it, get to the bottom of it, and fix it. Tennova Healthcare. All right. I always hear that if you want to win, you got to pay the big money. Just throw out the cash, and that brings the wins. Well, that's true in Nick Saban's case. That is absolutely true. Alabama spent crazy money 10 years ago. Doesn't look crazy now. He's been worth every penny and then some. What about the other guys? Here's a little graphic that was put up by ESPN yesterday. I thought it was interesting. Of the 20 coaches who make more than $4 million a year, half are 7-5 or worse in their last 12 games. Jimbo Fisher, $5.7 million. Butch Jones, $4.1. Jim Harbaugh, $7 million. Rich Rodriguez, $5.7. Kevin Sumlin, $5. Malzahn, Ferentz, McElwain, D'Antonio, Bielema. Half of the top 20 paid coaches in the country, that half those guys that are making $4 million per year, they're 7-5 or worse in the last 12 games. So to me, the idea of, oh yeah, just throw money out there. No, that doesn't work. That's not a guarantee of anything. I know it sounds good. I know you want to believe it that it's a guarantee. There are none, clearly. When 10 of the top 20 are 7-5 or worse, that's a sign, and it tells you that money doesn't guarantee a thing. Okay, now, let me take you over to the big board, if we can get a shot over there. All right, what you see there, I always hear Tennessee doesn't go out and get the big name. All right, well, who does? What you see on the board are the top 30 programs in history by wins or winning percentage, all right? You've got, and I almost walked in front of the camera there. You've got, starting on the far left, Michigan, all right? Now, those names are in black because none of those are Power 5 coaches that moved to go to Michigan. The red names, those are Power 5 guys that moved to be at a Power 5 school. It rarely happens, or to be at one of these top 30 winning schools. Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. Okay, it's a big name. He was out of coaching. He'd been fired by the 49ers. They didn't go swipe him from San Francisco. Still a good hire, but in terms of you needed the tumblers to click into place there, he had to be out of work. Notre Dame, their hires, Cincinnati, and an NFL assistant that they paid huge money to that flopped. Texas. All right, you get the guy from Houston. He was a hot up-and-comer, but he was an up-and-comer. He'd coached for 2 years, got him from Houston. Before that, you got the up-and-comer from Louisville. Nebraska. All right, they went out and got a Power 5 coach. Mike Riley from Oregon State. Of course the coach from Oregon State would go to Nebraska. So anyway, we can go on down this line. I mean, you look at Ohio State. Urban Meyer, they didn't get him from Florida. He'd had his little nervous breakdown or whatever it was, and then got back into coaching. He was out of coaching. And then before that, they went with Jim Tressel, who they got from Youngstown State. So if you look up and down this list, you see names there, and you see where they were. Guys, if it says prom, that means they were promoted from the staff that they were on. Like Clay Helton at USC was promoted. You don't see a lot of guys. I put Chris Peterson down there at Washington with an asterisk. He came from Boise State, which isn't Power 5, but he'd been such a successful college coach. So let's go ahead and throw in Harbaugh. And you've also got Saban is up there and Petrino's up there. I included 2 NFL guys that were sitting NFL head coaches. But let's throw in Harbaugh. That's a big name. He was out of coaching, was a big name. Let's throw in Meyer. You're still looking at 60 hires at the top 30 schools, and there's, 10 or 12 that they were able to get somebody big? The idea that Tennessee's just going to snap its fingers and go grab some name, that's not how it plays out. You know, people are looking at Florida right now and saying, well, Florida's going to get ahead of Tennessee. They'll go with the big name. They may get a big name. But their last 4 hires were Ron Zook, not a big name, Urban Meyer, who was a hot up-and-comer, which, you know, nobody wants an up-and-comer around here. He was Bowling Green in Utah. Nobody believed in his offense when he got the SEC. You look until he started winning. They also, Will Muschamp, an assistant from another school, and then you go get Jim McElwain from Colorado State. So there's this perception that Tennessee's the only school that has to hire fallback candidates or up-and-coming candidates. Most of the schools have to do that. I don't think there's a group of fans that don't want to hear that and don't believe that, but it's right there in black and white and red.
John, another thing that's making it harder is look at the buyouts. Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech, for example, has a $6 million buyout.
Iowa State.
McElwain had a pretty big buyout, but it was negotiated, and then Florida agreed to play Colorado State and give Colorado State $2 million.
And that helped.
That helped cancel some of the buyout money.
Matt Campbell is a hot name right now. He's doing wonders at Iowa State. His buyout is over $9 million. If you want him, it's over $9 million to go and get him. So it's just not easy. You look at a Jimbo Fisher, who, you know, LSU went after him. He may be thinking I should have taken the LSU thing now, but they just couldn't lure him away, because why would you leave a big program that you have rolling? This year they've taken a step back. Losing their quarterback in the opener hurt, but why would you leave a big program that's rolling for another big program? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Because so many times you just sweeten the deal you have. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, that's how the game is played. And Franklin going from Vanderbilt to Penn State, other than Saban, isn't that about the best move you would think?
Yeah, and you went out and got a guy from Vanderbilt.
Right.
You know, I guarantee you there were some people at Penn State who were saying, "Yeah, he did okay, but it was only 3 years and it's Vanderbilt."
And coaches can be a lot more careful now because of the money they make at what are lesser jobs. 20 years ago, you have Nick Saban. He'll jump from Michigan State to LSU. Is the Michigan State coach today going to jump to LSU? No, you could argue which job you'd rather have.
Yeah, and then you got a guy like everybody talks about Gary Patterson. Why would he ever leave TCU? There's a statue of him in front of the stadium. He makes a huge amount of money, and nobody tries to fire him every year.
He had a bad year recently, and he survived that. Yeah. The one thing, every now and then you may see a coach want to restart that clock. That seems to be more prevalent in basketball than football.
Yeah.
But every now and then you may see somebody that takes a look at that.
And part of it is luck, too. Part of there's luck in timing. Now, there are a couple of guys. Chip Kelly's sitting there. Don't know if Tennessee wants to chase a guy with a short track record who had NCAA issues, but he's sitting there. That's the kind of thing that you've seen in the past that, okay, I got a guy who had already been fired, or we found a guy who had just had a nervous breakdown and brought him back. So there's a little bit of luck involved there, and people need to remember also the Saban to Alabama thing. If Rich Rodriguez doesn't back out, they don't have Saban. So it's a lot of luck that has to play in your favor. When we come back, Tennessee's roster next year. New coach coming in, and we believe there will be. What's he going to inherit? Come on back.